Hey guys, Nick here, and welcome to the Omniverse of Nick, and part 7 to What If Frieza Turned Good. Now, before we get into today's part, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the Omniverse, and further acknowledge and support the future of the Omniverse by checking out the Discord, Patreon, and Google Doc on the homepage, as well as commenting future requests and expectations for this year in the comment section. With all that said, let's get started. We ended off last time with Vegeta utterly and completely surprised 3 weeks after the events of the androids to see Frieza at his front doorstep saying that he wanted to bring back the Saiyan race. Vegeta can't believe what he is hearing. And Frieza goes on to explain. Back whenever he was the Emperor, all he cared about was conquest, control, and domination. And the Saiyans were the perfect example of that. But they were also the very biggest threat next to him. And he let that fear control him. He doesn't explain about Beerus or anything because he never did in canon, so I'm not going to make him do it here. And it would honestly complicate the story of Frieza turning good because then Beerus would die and then Beerus would go after Frieza and it would just complicate things. So we're not doing that. If I do that, then it's going to be for something different. You know? Maybe even the manga will touch upon it with Black Frieza, but that's not the central focus. He knew that the Saiyans were back then a threat that he felt could have beaten him. And when Vegeta turned traitor on him, killed all of his men, and then fought him, that was a purebred example. But that's not what grew Frieza to this point here. It was Goku. Goku. The softest, purest, and ultimately first Super Saiyan that he never knew about. The one Saiyan that he missed grew to be the one who fought him, almost killed him, and took pity on him. And true, right whenever Goku surrendered and was going to leave, Frieza wanted him dead still, because he felt this the ultimate sign of disrespect. But when Frieza had gone his last-ditch effort, stole his best friend's move, Goku's best friend, obviously, and tried to do it that way, but then Goku still took pity on him and saved his life. He literally saved him just because. And it's like, honestly, Frieza should have just kept attacking him, but there would have been no point. He was outmatched. And Frieza thought of betraying him multiple times, but never in his life had he ever met somebody who took pity and wanted to help him. Ever. Not even his own father or his brother. And it really grew to have conflict with Frieza. It grew to changing him into a person that he never thought he would be. So that's why he never killed Goku. That's why he stopped being evil. And that's why he ultimately gave up this whole imperial conquest and domination. Because he realized that it was no longer worth it. If they were just going to grow stronger than him anyway, and that one would actually take pity on him and forgive him for all that he did. And it honestly cut to Frieza really deep. So he tells Vegeta that's why he wants to make up for it and show Goku, Vegeta, and everybody else that while he still doesn't consider them friends, he considers them allies and wants to do something to show that he is truly not the monster that he once was. Because he knows people like Vegeta, Krillin, Piccolo, they still partly don't forgive him. And who knows, Goku's spawn, Gohan, probably still doesn't forgive him. And if his brother is still out there, They need all the help they can get. Because if it's taken him this long to come to Earth, he's preparing something. And this is all Frieza wants to do, to show his worth and to help out everybody. Vegeta sitting here listening to this story, and he's staring at Frieza, not sure that he just heard these words come out of his former boss's mouth. A once proud emperor who stood over his body whenever he died and treated him like he was just a pawn in a game. And now he treats him as an ally. And honestly, part of Vegeta thinks that this is still a ruse, even though Frieza's more than made his worth by this point. But then he finally smiles and says thank you. And he never thought he would even say these words to Frieza. And says that he appreciates the offer for Frieza doing this, but he doesn't care about his father or the Saiyan race anymore. Honestly, the people that he should be bringing back is Goku's family, or he would say Kakarot's family. Raditz, Gine, and the one who stood up to him at the very end of Planet Vegeta, Goku's father. He doesn't care about his father, and honestly, bringing back the Saiyan race would have to include bringing back Planet Vegeta, and that wouldn't be worth it anymore. They are far beyond the point of caring about Planet Vegeta or anything like that, and he doesn't think that if they were brought back, that anything good would come of it. And, you know, honestly, bringing back even Goku's family, including Raditz, is one thing, because then Frieza would probably be like, don't you want your old partner Nappa back? And Vegeta's trying to throw a gesture at Kakarot because he turned the most evil emperor in the universe good. And Vegeta can't even believe he's here right now, you know? So honestly, this is more or less just for Kakarot. And to just make himself, forget about the fact that he even did have a father or anything like that. He doesn't care about his father or the Saiyan race anymore. He just tells Frieza that if he really wants to make up, do that for Kakarot. That's the least you could do. But bringing back the Saiyan race, it just wouldn't be worth it. They are far, 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 far outclassed at this point. But bringing back Kakarot's family, how strong he's gotten? Oh yeah, that's a definite bonus. They brought back Nappa. True, he could grow stronger, but one, he was growing old. And two, he was a complete and total fool, as Vegeta would explain to Frieza. And that's why he had to kill him. So, Frieza goes along with the plan to bring back Gine, Bardock, and Raditz. But Kami has been watching this all this time. Because remember, Piccolo and Kami did not fuse in this timeline. And Kami has been watching all this. And all the Dragon Balls are gathered. But Kami says the wish is almost next to nigh impossible. And says that, true, he could fuse with Piccolo and they could get a new Guardian and ultimately enhance the power of the Dragon Balls to actually bring back these people who have been dead for far too freaking long. Raditz way less than Bardock and Gine, but still. And then they could finally get a new Guardian since Kami feels like he has done his role. Like, he feels that he should replace his role as Guardian. But he says that he's not going to do that because there's no active threat. And the only reason that he was going to do this is if Frieza betrayed them and the androids grew to be too much of a threat. But when Frieza teamed with them and saved their entire universe and now is helping them for future threats, Kami feels that he needs to step up as the Guardian and there's no need to fuse with Piccolo. You know? And even though the life link between them is still going to be, connected and not completely severed, he feels that he can definitely make up for that by enhancing himself. So, he does summon the dragon, and he wishes for his youth. So, he makes himself young again and starts training, which in turn enhances Shenron. So they're able to make the wish without a hitch. And Bardock, Raditz, and Gine are all brought into the living world. And they're on Earth, and all of them are completely and utterly shocked. Raditz, because the last thing he remembered, he was killed by the Namekian, and Kakarot sacrificed himself. And Bardock and Gine, last thing they remember, they were getting blown up with their own planets. But they don't have time to register what's going on here on this planet. Or to even understand that they're all with each other, because Bardock sees instantly Frieza, and without a hitch, he powers up straight into Super Saiyan 3. You guys might be wondering, why the frick would Bardock be Super Saiyan 3? Well, you see, Bardock's been dead for a long time. So, naturally, as a Saiyan, he would have trained, beat up on other bad guys, and unlocked way past grade, Super Saiyans 1, 2, and into the cusp of 3. Matter of fact, Bardock's more probably granted and, powered with it, especially being dead, than Goku in this timeline. So he's pretty much like, Buu Saga level tier canon Goku for Super Saiyan 3, if that all makes sense. But I feel that he would still be weaker because, his base power was 10,000. But who knows? Anyways, he rushes towards Frieza in Super Saiyan 3, but Goku stops him. And Bardock, he can't believe it. It's his son, Kakarot. But he wants to know everything, what's happened, why is Frieza here, why are they all back, what's Raditz doing here, where is their planet, and what's going on? Because, they've been dead a long time, and an explanation is pretty much needed. And Goku explains every single little thing that Bardock needs to know since the planet Vegeta was destroyed. About the Saiyans, him coming to Earth, and being the person he is now, his fight with Frieza, how ultimately Frieza changed sides after he saved him. But Bardock isn't pleased with this. If anything, he's angry. He's back into his base form, but he's angry. He doesn't care if Frieza's good. He saw in those visions Kakarot was going to defeat Frieza. And here he is now. But then he also notices something different about Frieza. He's not in that first state that he was in whenever they met and they saw in his visions all those years ago. He's in another form, and Kakarot, or Goku and Frieza have to explain this, and Frieza says to Bardock, "Long time no see, Bardock." And just before Bardock can snap or even think on this more, a vision hits him. Visions that he has not seen since he died. So these visions are very laid back. So if anything, these visions are not telling the future at this moment, not right now. They're catching up to the future with Bardock. He sees Goku and Frieza fighting, and Goku becoming a Super Saiyan, and indeed, they would team up together and kill King Cold, Frieza's father, and everything that's happened up to this point. So, Bardock has no choice. Even though he doesn't really understand why him or everybody else is brought back, the Sun family completely reunites. Gine is utterly proud to see what her son, Kakarot, has grown into. Raditz is infuriated at first because it feels like a pity that he was resurrected. And the fact that Bardock's here, their relationship, all that stuff. But over time, they all learn to forgive and forget and get to understand what's happened after all this time and how a bunch of misunderstandings have led to them ultimately coming back together. Meanwhile, in space, a certain Frost Tyrant is finally closing in on Earth. But his army, the Cooler Force, doesn't come alone. They encounter another bunch of beings. It's Bobbity, Deborah, and the Majin army. And they say to Cooler, well, seems like you have yourself quite the vast army, which is very good. We, in fact, have an army ourselves for a specific task of bringing back an old friend. And we're also looking for something that will help us. We're looking for the man who once held siege in this universe by the name of Lord Frieza. And Cooler says, what a coincidence. I happen to be right at the planet that he is on. The traitor of my kind. My traitorous brother. It seems we both have a mutual understanding. And Cooler says that he is willing to make a deal with Bobbity, Deborah, and the Majin army. He will help them unlock and release this entity and be on their side and go onto Earth and get all this energy. And his army will be at Bobbity's helm without a hitch. But under one condition. Frieza is his to destroy. And whatever powers he has, Cooler is no subordinate, like these people seem to be. He has his own army, so he remains fully in control. And he gets Frieza to himself. If Bobbity and these people agree to this, they both and all have a mutual agreement. Bobbity should be ultimately ticked off at this guy's, behavior towards him, but if they have a mutual understanding and want to unlock Boo together, and Cooler's actually willing to work with him, he has a vast army, way more than Bobbity does. So Bobbity considers this a win, and with his magic, he works his charm. And even though the power of Bobbity's mind control is in Cooler, like Vegeta, he remains in control. So, because I feel that Bobbity Bobbity is literally sick and evil to the core, but we saw even in the underworld, he was rooting for Goku. So, with all that said, and Vegeta's control and everything, I feel that having Cooler have control here would be good. It's a mutual agreement. So, all of Cooler's force with Sorbet, Shisami, Tagoma, all the soldiers are Majinized too. That's actually a really good word, Majinized. And Cooler's squadron are too. And with Bobbity's ship, they land on Earth and set up the ultimate plan to bring Majin Buu back. Bobbity tells Yamu and Spopovich, go to the tournament arena, get energy, and if you happen to encounter this Frieza and his band of Saiyan comrades, don't hesitate to steal their energy, or better yet, bring them to me. And we'll show them who the true rulers of this universe are. And with that, we enter into the Tournament of the Buu Saga and the entrance into the Majin Buu Saga with Cooler's force with them. With Frieza at the helm and so many things changing, and Cooler teamed up with Bobbity, will Buu be brought back and literally cause the story to fall into chaos? Or will this actually be no sweat at all like the androids and pretty much just be a one and done thing? Find out in part 8.